What is a rate? Think about this question during the lesson. A rate is a special type of ratio that compares quantities with unlike units of measure. If the race car continues to travel at the same rate, how long will it take it to travel 25 kilometers? What does 10 kilometers in 3 minutes mean? What ratio can you write to describe the speed of the race car? 10 kilometers in 3 minutes means it takes 3 minutes for the race car to travel 10 kilometers. You can write the ratio as 10 kilometers over 3 minutes. Why is this type of ratio called a rate? This type of ratio is called a rate because the units of measure of the two terms are different. Here is one way. Use a ratio table to find rates equivalent to 10 kilometers over 3 minutes. How do you know that the rates shown in the table are equivalent? Each of the terms in the table is found by multiplying the original rate by the same non-zero factor. It will take the race car 7½ minutes to travel 25 kilometers. Here is another way. Write the rate as a fraction. Multiply both terms of the rate by the same number to find an equivalent rate. Think. 10 times equals 25. By what number should you multiply both terms of the original rate?
Select your answer.
Multiply both terms by 2 5/10. It will take the race car 7 5/10 minutes to travel 25 kilometers. Now you know what a rate is.
At the same rate of 10 kilometers in 3 minutes, how long would it take the car to travel 60 kilometers?
It will take the car blank minutes to travel blank kilometers. So we think again to ourselves, what do we need to multiply to equal the 60? So 10 times what equals 60? 6. So we have to do the same thing here. 3 times 6. And 3 times 6 is 18. So it will take the car 18 minutes to travel 60 kilometers.
Harvest Market sells a crate of Florida oranges for $12. What are two different unit rates that could represent the situation?
Pounds per dollar. You find the unit rate in pounds per dollar. So you have the 15 pounds, which is how much the crate of oranges weighs. And then you put it over $12 since they're selling the crate for $12. So then you take the ratio and you want to solve it for the denominator to be 1. So you know the cost of 1 pound of the oranges. So we divide by 12 because 12 divided by 12 will give us 1. And then you do the same to the top and then you get 1 25 pounds. So the unit rate in pounds per dollar is 1 25 pounds to the dollar. Then you have dollars per pound. So this way you're finding out, you're taking the dollars and putting it on top so you can find dollars per pound instead of pounds per dollar. So we just switch them. And then instead of getting 12 to equal 1, we want to get the pounds to equal 1 pound. So we divide by 15 to get the 1 pound, and you also divide $12 by 15 and you get 80 cents. So the unit rate in dollars per pound is going to be 80 cents per pound.
A recipe for scrambled eggs uses 2 tablespoons of milk for every 3 eggs. What are 2 unit rates that could represent the recipe?
The ratio for eggs and tablespoons would be there are 2 tablespoons of milk for every 3 eggs. So the 2 is mentioned first. So that's going to be our unit rate for the egg. The milk to the eggs. So we're going to have 2 to 3. That's going to be our ratio. And then now we have to solve for 1 tablespoon of the milk. And so we have to, we're going to solve for 1 of the eggs first because I put the milk on top and the eggs on the bottom. So we're going to solve for 1. So we're going to make our eggs be for 1 egg, and we have to divide 3 by 3 to equal that 1, and we have to do the same thing to the top. So 2 divided by 3, if you use a calculator, you will get 2/3 tablespoon of milk for every 1 egg. Now it does tell us to show the 2 unit rate, so we're going to do the other way. So the other way is doing the 3 eggs to 2 tablespoons of milk. So now we're going to solve for the tablespoons of milk as 1. And so we divide 2 by 2 to get 1, and we do the same thing to the top. And again, using your calculator, 3 divided by 2 would be 1 5/10 eggs. So now we have shown the 2 unit rates that could represent the same recipe.
How far could the family travel in 8 hours if they maintain the same rate of speed?
So we have miles. The family starts at 0 for both miles and hours. We want to know for the unit rate, how many miles they'll travel in 1 hour. We don't know that yet. And then the family's rate was 25 miles for 5 hours given. That's what they gave us here. And then we need to find how far the family could travel in 8 hours. So we won't know that yet until we find our unit rate. So now, step 1, you find the unit rate in miles per hour. So the hours is going to be on the bottom because we want to know per hour. So we have 25 miles over 5 hours. And then we're going to solve for the hours at 1 hour. So we're going to divide by 5 to the top and bottom. We get 5 to 1. And so the unit rate for the miles per hour would be 5 miles per hour. Step 2, you use the unit rate to find how far, because this is a multi-step problem. So now we know the unit rate. Now we can see how many miles they can travel in the 8 hours. So now we take that unit rate, multiply it by 8 because we want 8 hours. And then when we multiply the top, we get 40 miles. So the family could travel 40 miles in the 8 hours.
A canoeing club travels 78 miles in 3 days. How far could they travel in 5 days if they maintain the same average speed?
Our ratio would be the 78 miles in 3 days. How far could they travel in 5 days? So we write our ratio. I'm going to write it as a fraction. So 78 miles. I'm just going to put an M. 3 for D is for days. And so again, this is a multi-step problem, so we need to find our unit rate. So we want to know the amount for one day, how many miles they can travel. So we want 1 day here. So we're going to take 3 and divide it by 3. That will give us that 1. And we're going to do the same thing to the 78. And then 78 divided by 3 gives us 26 miles. So we know for every day they're going to be traveling 26 miles. So for 5 days, do a different color. For 5 days, we are now going to multiply by 5 because we want 5 days, and we're going to multiply 26 times 5 as well. So 26 times 5 is going to give us 130 miles. So if they maintain that same average speed over the 5 days, they will be traveling 130 miles over that time.